Well, it's called the Northern Poll, provided by Ohio Northern University, and the students are behind it. And they've got some views of Ohio voters on some critical zoning issues. We're going to find out what this poll was all about and what we learned. To my immediate left, we have Keith Durkin, and he's Ohio Northern Department Criminal Justice History and Political Science Chair. And then we have Brian King. He's Ohio Northern Assistant Professor of Political Science. And thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so first of all, the students do this poll, right? I assume it's really a great learning experience and for them to gather this and go through the process.
Absolutely. It's student-driven. They come up with the issues. They fine-tune the questions with our help. And we had a senior who was essentially our data scientist for this. So, yes, very much student-driven.
All right, so they chose the issue. So let's go down some of the questions and the results, okay? So first, let's start solar farms. That was one of the questions. Who wants to take solar farms?
I'll do solar farms.
Okay, all right.
No, they're broadly popular in the state of Ohio. 55% of people that we surveyed support them. Only 19% oppose. People see very positive on the economy, quality of life, as well as public safety issues with the solar farm.
I guess we should backtrack a little bit. Who was polled, and like when do we take these polls?
It was between October 7th and 13th. We polled 1,638 Ohio voters, 18 and above. Margin of error 3 to 5%, depending upon the question.
Okay, all right. So let's move then to multifamily housing. I know housing's really difficult in the Buckeye State, and so what were the feelings about multifamily?
It was interesting to see that there was positive across the board in terms of net support. But then when you looked into some of the demographics, there were definitely some splits.
Okay.
Folks 65 and older seem to have the most worry about safety issues. People who are making more than $100,000 a year, and even though we don't know for sure if they're homeowners, the statistics tell us that they probably are.
Right.
They seem much more worried about, quality of life and security issues as well.
So let's move on to marijuana and cannabis dispensaries.
Yes. They were generally supported. It was plus 19, 47% of Ohioans support, 28 oppose, but we found some mixed views on benefits.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
It's a plus 42 on economy, minus 7 on public safety. Right. So this is a two-edged sword. The Ohioans see economic benefits, but there's clear public safety concerns, particularly among rural people, folks over 65, and again, just like with multifamily housing, the homeowners' public safety is a negative 14.
I think some of what we're seeing here is sometimes it's called the NIMBY issue, not in my backyard.
Okay.
We absolutely want dispensaries. We think they're going to be a great economic benefit, but don't you dare put one next to my house or next to my child's school.
And then we have data centers, and this is kind of interesting because you did it two different ways. So let's talk about that. How you talked about data centers to the people.
Right, so what we did, it was our senior data scientist, Gabe Mott, one of our students. We looked at, it's called experimental wording. So half of the 1,600 were asked about data centers, the other half about AI centers. Overwhelmingly, so data centers are plus 10 overall. AI centers are negative 6 overall.
So they're kind of the same thing, though, right? I mean, we just stuck in AI and people have a negative feeling?
Absolutely. It's a net negative on everything when you use the term AI.
And I think that pulls out that cultural fear of artificial intelligence and what it entails, whereas a data center sounds a whole lot less threatening. The national coverage of data centers, they're always being called data centers. So my hunch is that the industry has done its own research already.
Oh, and they know.
Yeah.
That's very good. All right, so the students, when they combine all these numbers, it just must be really fascinating for them, and it just helps them in their careers, maybe what they want to do in their education with this?
Absolutely. It's we are building a system where every spring they're going to come up with questions and approaches and strategies, and every fall we're going to have the poll that they actually carry out, and then they analyze. We want those students to be out front. We have some very, very gifted students through our ICAP program this year who are going to then teach the next generation or the next class down to do the same thing, and our hope is that as this news comes out, that some of the more local media outlets are going to find an interest, and we're going to be able to put the students out front for that part of this as well.
Yeah.
Right. To have them, we're putting them into little groups. One's going to look at solar, multifamily, et cetera, and we're going to teach them really how to write up the results, present the results, and I think really important, how to analyze the report.
Right.
What does this mean, and how do you explain it to people in language they can understand?
And this becomes a practical skill that
Certainly
goes
does,
into
yeah.
you know, how many different jobs that are out there right now.
Right, exactly. Wow, fascinating stuff. Keith and Brian, thanks for coming today. Thanks
Well,
for
thank
sharing.
you.
Great to be here.
All right, don't go away. New Edition continues in a moment.